Hi everyone, it's your girl Love Chi, and I am back with another book review. Woo. So yes, this book is called Too Sweet to Be Good, and it was written by M.K. Jackson. And okay, so the crazy thing about this book is, so like I was reading it and I was like really enjoying the book. And as I was reading it, I was like, wow, this is a really good book. I need to go ahead and look up the author because like I've never heard of this author before. And like this may be my favorite book now. So I'm looking up the author and lo and behold, I go to the website for the author and the author is actually m.k.jackson, the woman who wrote the book Real Men Knit. And I read that book. That was the first, book review I did here on YouTube. So you can go back and check that out. But anyways, as I'm reading it, I'm like, well, I feel like this book was written better than that book. And I don't know, maybe it's because like I feel more connected to this book than I did the first one. So this book was published in 2019. How I found out about this book, I was actually in the library and I was browsing through the library and I read the back. You always got to read the back, and if you're not sure about the back, then read like the first couple of pages. But I was reading the back of the book and I was like, wow, this is something that I really could get into. And as I'm reading, I'm like, oh my gosh, this really is a good book. So the theme of this book to me is finding your way, finding strength, paving a new way for yourself, creating a new identity for yourself. And the plot of this story is, can a grandmother get her grandson to come home and create a beautiful legacy here in their hometown, or seeing if this grandmother can get her busy grandson to find love? And can this runaway pave a new way for herself in this small town city? The setting of this book, it takes place in a place called Sweet Lake, Georgia, a small town in Georgia. The main characters are Alexandria, but she also goes by Drea and Alex. And then you have the main character named Keelan. Backstory: Alex, or Alexandria, or Drea, whichever one you want to call her, she comes to Sweet Lake, Georgia, because her auntie, who runs this bakery and owns this bakery, she had a hip surgery. So she came to this small town to help out her auntie. And while she was helping out her auntie, she was in fact running away from her life because, she has a degree in theater. She wants to be an actor, either on Broadway and movies or either on a television show. It really doesn't matter. One of those three avenues. But as she's becoming a bit older in life and her parents they're starting to want to see a return on their investment in her college career, she's getting a bit antsy about her role in acting, if she has one, like going to auditions and not being casted for shows. So, she's becoming unsure of herself. And then we have the other main character, which is Keelan, and his grandmother. She just lost her spouse, Mr. Henry, and the grandmother's name is Miss Betty. So Mrs. Betty, she had just lost her spouse, Mr. Henry, and her grandson Keelan actually wanted to take the family business and expand the family business, which is in real estate, and move his grandmother up to Atlanta with him where he can watch over her so she wouldn't be in their family's home, which is very big, by herself. But the grandmother, Mrs. Betty, had other plans, boy, and they bought a theater, and it's called the Red Heart. So in this theater, Mrs. Betty wants to do a full-on renovation, and the grandson, Keelan, he actually wants to sell this land to another conglomerate company so he can start to, create that relationship so he can build on the family legacy. And the grandmother just isn't having it. So how Alex comes in is because Miss Betty and Alex, they have a conversation because Alex, she isn't that much of a baker, you know. She's not a baker at all, but she is a designer because, you know, her theater major, she did like theater set designs and stuff like that. So at her auntie's bakery, she helped like make a whole new look and feel to it. So when the grandmother, Mrs. Betty, came in, you know, she started saying like, oh, I really like what you did to the place. And Miss Betty was like, yeah, actually, I'm looking to renovate my theater, and I see what you did with this place, you know, with the bakery. You turned it all around. So I want to know if you would like to help me with redesigning the theater. And Alex, she was like, yes, you know, like this is something fun to do. This would be good for Miss Betty. This will give me a little bit more time to figure out what I want to do with my life. If I want to, you know, create a life down here, do I want to continue to run, or do I want to go back up to New York and try to pursue my dream of being an actor? So where Keelan comes into play. So how Alex and Keelan met. When he got to Sweet Lake, he had went to the bakery. And when he went to the bakery, the way him and Drea met was so funny because like Drea was looking at him like, cause she's the free spirit, spunky, speak her mind, and he's the stoic. They say that a lot in the book. Not a lot, but a lot. He's the stoic, or, you know, in our terms, nonchalant, chill, cool, laid back, straight pants, you know, all about his business type of a guy. So when Drea saw him, she was like, I mean, you handsome. She was thinking that, like, you handsome, but you too stiff. Like the summertime, you know, the South is hot, period. So it's the summertime, and he got on a pantsuit jacket and a pantsuit, and he coming like, this is not the way you dress. You feel me? Like, you don't dress this way. Like, no. So instantly called him Suit. That was her nickname for him. And then like as she, you know, got him the stuff that he needed, you know, his regular, because he's actually from well, he's from New York, but his parents passed away when he was a child, so he ended up moving in with his grandparents down in Sweet Lake, Georgia. So he knows everyone in town. But Drea doesn't know this because she's never seen him, because mind you, he lives in Atlanta, so of course she's not gonna see him. So, you know, she gets him what he likes, but it's his regular. And then her auntie comes in. Auntie is giving him like special treatment, like he's special, and Dre is just like, why you treating him special or whatever. And so when they have like a back and forth banter, she you know, she keeps calling him Suit, and you know, he glances her over and he was like, you wouldn't like it if I, and he didn't want to say nothing disrespectful, so he looked down at her shoes and she had on boots. He was like, you wouldn't like it if I called you Boots. And ever since then, those are the two nicknames that they've stuck with. His name was Suit and her name was Boots. So that's how their relationship started. So throughout the book, it's just a really beautiful story. And I really like this book. And it's crazy to me that like the same author who wrote Real Man Nick wrote this book as well, Too Sweet to Be Good, because it's like, in this book, you can tell really like took her time with this book. You get on it, like she really took her time, like the dialogue between the auntie, Mrs. Joyce, who owns the bakery, had a conversation with Keelan about like some of his troubles, you know, like because he wants to sell the theater and he wants to move his grandmother up to Atlanta, and he wants to like expand the legacy, the real estate business that they have. And he's having a conversation with Mrs. Joyce, and Miss Joyce, like, she has that auntie flavor. You know, that auntie that like she gonna keep it real with you. She's spunky, you know, she got a little, you feel me, to her, she got a little sauce to her, a little spice to her, but she's respectable. You know, she loves God, she's homey, she's warm. She's one of those type of aunties, and you can tell by reading this book, and I really enjoyed that. And even with Miss Betty, like, it's some dialogue between Alex and Miss Betty. Like when they first had a conversation, when Alex is asking Miss Betty, is there anything that she need help with? Like the emotion that MK put into this book, like you can, like she really developed the scenarios in it, and I really enjoyed that. This one particular part in the book was just so beautiful to me because Miss Betty, like she had been trying to set Keelan and Drea up. They're two totally different people. And Keelan, he's the nonchalant, chill, pantsuit, you know, suave. Like you could tell the type of females he liked. Like, he not like the free spirit, you know, the artsy. And that's the type of woman that Drea was. So to see that they were both attracted to each other, but both out of their element, because Alex felt like, you feel me, a guy like Sue wouldn't go for a woman like her, you feel me? And Keelan, he kept like, he was being a real dude, like he was all standoffish, nonchalant, acting like he really didn't like her, but like he liked her. You get what I'm saying? But he acted like he didn't because he was dealing with so much, you know, his grandfather just passed away, the business and stuff like that. So the part in it that I really liked, which really showed Keelan and how like sometimes the thing that you go for isn't what you need, and what you need is what your grandmother is trying to help you realize. You get what I'm saying? Because again, his grandmother kept trying to put them together, like in different situations where he tries to set them up. She knows because of course the auntie and the grandmother is plotting behind the scenes. So they're plotting behind the scenes, and the auntie tells the grandmother about, you know, the dinner reservations for later in the night. And Keelan, he wasn't gonna go because, you know, he had biked into town because they live like a little bit out of town, not really far, but he biked into town. And Alex, she was wondering like if he was gonna even come, because even though she was making it seem like she ain't care if he came, she really cared that he came. So once they was like, the grandmother, she like, yeah, so you know, Keelan, you should take my car and you should go ahead and go over to that place with Olivia and Clayton, you know, go enjoy yourself. So Keelan, he wasn't gonna go, but the grandmother insisted, and he was like, well, who's gonna drop you off? And one of the guys who was working on the theater ended up saying like they was gonna drop the grandmother off. So he couldn't get out of that, and the grandmother little sly self here set it all together, you feel me? So that's a little backstory we told, the part that I really liked and I enjoyed, which showed that like he really liked her, and sometimes the stuff you think you don't need is what you actually need. What you regularly go for is not what you need. So they're at the place and they're eating, and he's sitting right next to Drea, and he's just watching her eat, and he's thinking to himself, he's like, man, you know, I'm really enjoying watching her eat because she totally doesn't have any regard for who I am. And there's this song by Lauryn Hill that I really, really love. It's on that album where it's not like a real album. I forgot what it's called off the top of my head, but it's Interlude number 5. In there, she talks about how, like, you know, she's eating with her husband, and like she's not trying to eat pretty, you feel me? She being herself. You get what I'm saying? Listen to that Interlude. It's just called Interlude 5, and it's by Lauryn Hill. But anyways, back to the story. So they're at the diner, they're sitting across from each other. Well, they're sitting next to each other, and Alex is eating, and Keelan, he's just looking at her, and he's enjoying what he sees, because it's like, man, she's just eating normal. Like, she's enjoying her food. She don't have no care in the world. She totally is disregarding me right now, but not in an evil or a bad way. She's just in her element. And the part about that he really liked is the fact that like she's being herself, because most women he goes out on dates with, mind you, this isn't a date, and he said that to himself. Most women he goes out on a date with, they're like eating perfectly, they're drinking their drink perfectly, making sure they leave the right amount. You know, they're basically walking on pins and needles. And when he's with Drea or Alex, he doesn't have to boots. He doesn't have to do that at all. And that was just so beautiful to me, because it's like, yeah, like this your friend, this your homie, this the person you could be yourself with. You know, when you out with all them other people, them other girls, you feel me? You bring in your representative to the table. Remember, we was talking about representatives in my other video. I'll link it down below. But you bringing your representative to the table, you're not really being who you are. So that was one part of the book that I really, really enjoyed, because it's like, oh, I really enjoyed this storyline because like I can relate to it. It reminds me of myself, this free spirit, and then just it's just and being at a point in your life where you like, I've did XYZ, I have college degrees, but I'm just not finding, what it is that I want and what I got the degree in, but this is leading me to my passion. And same thing, it was leading her to her passion. So I don't know if this is my favorite book right now, because it's like where I am in life. But anyways, you could see that. And MK, she like did a beautiful, like, I cannot say enough how beautiful this book is. You get another thing that I really like about this book, it's like, again, it's really written well. Like, it's written really, really good. And the reason why I say that is because, with the theater, like, in the, like, some of the dialogue, they talk about different movies, like different old movies, which it made me realize, like, oh my God, I have to go back and watch them. Like, one of the movies that they mentioned was Mahogany. And I'm like, I gotta go back and watch that. That was a really good movie. Or The Wiz. And that's like one of my all-time favorite movies, especially the soundtrack. They also mentioned Tiffany's Breakfast at Tiffany's, and that's a really good movie. So I'm like, dang, they really like, they mentioned West Side Story, Murder, She Wrote, Casablanca. Like, she really, MK, like, really wrote. Oh, and another great thing that she added in this book, at the end, she added like some recipes, because it takes, the bakery. So she added in some recipes, and I'm like, wow, like, I really enjoyed this book. And even at the end, like, it was such a beautiful ending, like, because you wonder, like, is he gonna do the right thing, or isn't he gonna do the right thing? And in the book, it's like, how he shows up is beautiful. And the only thing that I really dislike about this book, to be honest with you, is the fact that it was too good. Because at the end of the chapters, I would be wanting more, and there wasn't more. And I'm like, I understand why you ended it there, but like, bruh, this could have been longer. And another thing that I really like about this book, so that's what I'm saying. Like, I really like, I give this book like a 5 out of 5. I recommend that you read it. She really took her time and developed the characters. Like Mrs. Joyce, which is the auntie, she really doesn't have that many parts in this book, but where she comes up, oh my God, they develop her to a T. Even one of the other characters, Clayton's brother, like, he really doesn't have a part in this, but like, man, like, it's really a really good book. And just so you know, it is a series. It's this book and another book. The other book came out before this. It's with the sister Olivia, and I think I want to read that, but I falling in love with this book. Like, I don't even know, like, you feel me? Because I guess I relate to it so much. But all in all, it was a really good book. I recommend that you read it. Pick it up at your library. Find it on Amazon. You can find it at Barnes & Noble, I believe, but definitely on Amazon. You can definitely find it at her website, and it only costs $7.99, or that's the market price for it. But you can find it at your library as well, because that's why I got, if it's for free, it's for me. You feel me? And that's why I got this book at. It's really, really good. Take your time, read it. The characters develop really good. I don't know. I think I hit on all the major topics. So you know what to do. Go ahead, like, subscribe. You already here, so turn on the notifications bell while you at it. You feel me? Watch my last video. watch the other videos I mentioned. And of course, as always, follow me on Instagram and Twitter. It should pop up right now. Deuces.